Good morning, beautiful people. How are you? Man, was it a busy weekend in the NFL and for the Buffalo Bills this weekend? We're going to get into everything. I know it's kind of a slow period of the year for the NFL, but honestly, that just simply does not matter because this weekend we have a lot of updates. Maybe not the blockbuster ideas that we've been accustomed to or that we're waiting for. No Max Crosby movement. Myles Garrett's not going anywhere else just yet. But we don't know who's going to referee the NFL football games this year. I can tell you that. Okay, that's still an absolute question mark. Josh Allen wasn't able to walk in between the games last year towards the end of the year. We didn't really necessarily know that either. AJ Epinesa. Did Max Crosby start the domino effect in the NFL with, physicals not being what teams thought that they should be? So AJ Epinesa, who was signed to a one-year deal by the Cleveland Browns, will not be a Cleveland Brown. They did not enjoy and were not happy enough with his physical. So they're not going to move forward with signing him. I mean, this is kind of getting crazy to me. Although we knew what was going on with AJ, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. We shall see. We're going to get into it all right now, today. And let's start. All right. So I'm going to start with AJ Epinesa. AJ Epinesa had a rough weekend. So about 10 days ago, all right, AJ Epinesa was signed out of free agency from the Cleveland Browns, by the Cleveland Browns, excuse me. Okay. And it was a one-year deal, nothing crazy. But just yesterday, it came out that the Cleveland Browns actually are not okay with what his physical represented, and they're no longer going to keep him on their roster. That's a little concerning to me. We did not know that AJ Epinesa had that big of an issue last year health-wise. I know he was banged up from time to time with little things here and there. But if the Cleveland Browns, I don't know, generally speaking, physicals are given after trades. And then those physicals, if they are not deemed to be a passing physical by the team that traded for said player, that comes into play quite often. Okay. But out of free agency, these guys are allowed to speak to anybody at any time, really. Okay. During that tampering period. And it's been a while. It's been weeks since they were able to get something done. So I don't know why the Cleveland Browns had not figured this out or known that AJ Epinesa's health was going to be an issue to them prior to them already signing him to a one-year deal. Obviously, there was some verbiage in there that says subject to. That's clear. All right. Or this probably wouldn't have happened. But that said, it did happen, and AJ Epinesa is now available. So AJ Epinesa, what will his value now be, being that he is still a free agent and he's not going to Cleveland? He signed a one-year deal that was worth up to $5 million. Up to. I don't know the exact particulars. We can pull it up very easily, but I can't quite remember. I think there might have been, half and half, roughly $2 to $2.5 million as far as monies that were owed to him, and then another $2 to $3 million that were incentive-based. Had to earn the rest of it, depending on how his performance was on the field. You guys all understand what that means. So what is AJ Epinesa now worth on the free agent market? I don't think it's much. I think it might be a one-year deal worth a couple, maybe, $1 million. Maybe. Might even be a $1 million deal. And at that moment in time, although I don't think that he's the greatest fit for a 3-4 defense, because he's not just a simple, pure edge rusher, I think he's going to be a Bill. I literally think AJ Epinesa will still be a Buffalo Bill this year. And that's my gut. That's simply what it is, just a gut feeling. But because of that, it's not like the Bills don't know what's going on with him and his health. They know as much, if not more than anybody. So I don't think that that's going to be much of a question mark for Buffalo. I understand that the other teams in the league now that might be relatively interested in AJ Epinesa will now have even more question marks than they did prior. But the Bills know AJ Epinesa, and there's no question marks in their mind as far as what's going on with his health. So now Brandon B can go back to AJ and say, listen, brother, you're not what you might or we might or they thought that you were going to be as far as your value in the league right now. So we'd love to have you back here, but it's not going to be anywhere near what you had signed prior, which is a 2-year, $12 million deal. Nowhere near $6 million. Quite frankly, it's not going to be anywhere near $5 million anymore because that's what you were given up to with incentives. So you want to stay at Buffalo Bill, we'd love to have you, but I think it's going to be 1 year, 1.2, 1.3 million bucks. That would be my guess. Unless, okay, and there's obviously the caveat that Jim Leonard, who is certainly influencing the decisions in terms of the personnel on the defensive side of the football, there's no question. He might have just told Brandon Beane and Joe Brady and everybody else, no, man, not the fit for my defense, which, if that's the case, based on what they've been showing us, they're going to listen to him, and they will not sign him. But again, AJ Epinesa for 1 year, $1.2, $1.3 million to me, you must take him. Not saying that he's the star that the Buffalo Bills need, but as far as depth goes, you know what you get out of him. And the one thing AJ Epinesa has always shown me, at least, he just comes up with some timely batted balls or interceptions. Does he not? I don't think anybody can argue that. Nobody can complain about what he does on an average basis when you least expect it. AJ Epinesa pops up, bats a ball down on third down, picks a ball off, creates a fumble, something. He is absolutely got the clutch gene in him. I got to give him that. He's not your perennial Pro Bowler or all pros, certainly. But he shows up sometimes when we really need something to happen and nobody's doing anything, and then here comes AJ Epinesa. So all I'm saying is the Cleveland Browns no longer will be signing him. He will not be a Cleveland Brown. And quite honestly, I think his market value has now dropped substantially because of this, based on it being a physical thing, health thing. So I think now the Buffalo Bills are the only team that truly knows what he is. And I don't think they should have a problem trying to sign him for 1 year, slightly over $1 million. Vet minimum almost. I mean, really. So what do you say? What say you? Secondly, and this is big. This is big time. Well, okay, we're going to go this route first. It's not the big one, but we're going to get a little bit into what we weren't really necessarily told the whole truth last year. Our beloved Joe Brady sat down with Tom Pelissero, from the NFL.com. All right. Insider, journalist, whatever you want to call him. And here's what he had to say, because the beginning of this conversation, although it was supposed to be routed around DJ Moore and how he looks, and I'll give you a brief synopsis. Joe Brady told the world that DJ Moore looks exactly like he looked, with no changes from that when he was in Carolina with Joe Brady. That was 5 years ago. So Joe Brady seems to think, at least he's telling us, that DJ Moore looks exactly like he did 5 years ago, hasn't lost a step, and therefore he's still a youthful 24-year-old stud. Okay? Take that for what it's worth, and as you may. But what I wanted to get into just briefly is that the conversation started with Josh Allen, or about Josh Allen. As we all know, as we can see here as well, it's reiterated, Josh Allen needed surgery this offseason, basically as soon as the offseason took place, as soon as the season was over, to fix a broken bone in his right foot. I'm not a doctor. I can't remember the exact verbiage of what that bone is called, and quite frankly, to me, it at this moment in time doesn't matter. I'm interested, but I'm not a doctor. I would never remember the name of the bone anyways. But it was on the outside middle of his foot, and it was a nagging issue. And if you can remember, for those of you that have been hanging with us for a while, if you can remember, midway and then throughout the season, Cold Front here has been telling you guys that Josh Allen had some extreme mechanical breakdowns and that he was, in my opinion, hurt and not just banged up a little bit. I thought he was absolutely hurt. And you can go back to, I'm going to give myself a little credit here. You can go back to some film that I still have on the channel, TikTok and YouTube. Go back, find the videos when I say Josh Allen is banged up and his mechanics are not what they should be. He was not driving through the football. He was not bringing his momentum, just like a pitcher need do this towards the target. He was not getting the power in the direction of his target. He was spinning off of his target, causing some errant throws, drilling the ball into the ground, or airmailing some people. And quite frankly, it doesn't help for your touch passes either, because believe it or not, even when you're trying to touch pass something, you need your lower half to be involved. Like it or not, because if you go 25 years, 27 years throwing a football a certain way and learning how to throw a football, whether it's on a line or a little air underneath it, using your body from your feet up, and then all of a sudden you don't have your feet and you try to touch pass, it's something new, okay? It's something new. So go back. If you don't believe me, I'm giving myself some kudos here. Go back and look at my videos telling you that he is banged up and it's not something small. Okay. Hey, Schwab, appreciate that heart. Thank you so much. Not something small. And here we go. Although Joe Brady does tell us that he is good to go and he will be ready for OTAs and then training camp immediately following. He says this, and I quote, "The thing about Josh Allen, he got surgery after the season, but he's playing as if you think there's nothing wrong with him. The guy could barely walk, and then he's playing games, and it's not impacting his play. He's built different, and let's hope it continues that way, but he'll be good to go in the offseason. I talk with him regularly. He's just excited to get going with guys like DJ Moore, kind of figure out what it's going to look like, just this new kind of era," end quote. So this man, Josh Allen, again, the guy could barely walk. I'm just saying that you can not barely walk and then be 100%. Unless you're getting shot up with things to where you could not feel your body. And that could be the case, but then that could also have longer term effects. And I hope that's kind of not the case, if you follow my drift. I'm just saying that we knew that son of a gun was more injured than what we were being told. And listen, the Buffalo Bills don't owe me anything, okay? So I'm not saying they're lying to me and I'm pissed off about it. I'm not saying that at all. It is what it is, all right? However, what I am saying is that you cannot not walk on Saturday and then be able to play Josh Allen football on Sunday. It just doesn't work that way. Your bodies are not made. Our bodies are not made for that. Now, is Josh Allen a tough son of a gun? And is part of him not walking on him, meaning he could walk, but he just chose not to get healthy for the weekend? Sure, that could be that too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, DJ, appreciate the share, man. Thank you so much. That could absolutely be part of the guy could barely walk. Maybe he just wasn't walking so he does not re-aggravate this foot throughout the regular season. Throughout the week in between games. You know, take this with a grain of salt. I'm just saying, I read this and I said, I told you, go. I told you. Watch the man throw a football. I showed the film. Did some film breakdowns saying that his mechanics were off. We knew this, and I hope it's not going to stay long-term, because that would really, quite frankly, that would suck, right? I hope the man is healthy. Now, again, Joe Brady is saying he's good to go, and he'll be quite all right, totally fine. I certainly hope so, because up until this point, I've been extremely excited about what the Bills have done this offseason. I'm not saying this changes my mind. I'm just saying I'm getting excited, adding some weapons, stacking the defense. We still have the draft. So I'm excited. I just hope that we don't go backwards with Josh Allen's health. That's all I'm saying. Take that for what it's worth, and as you may, folks. I appreciate all of you, but first of all, by the way, love every single one of you. If you haven't done so yet, you must follow and subscribe immediately. When we get to 500, we're giving away a jersey. We're giving away a Buffalo Bills jersey, one of the new additions to the Buffalo Bills personnel and roster this offseason. So thank you so much. Next topic, and this is a big one, boys and girls. This is a big one. don't really know what to think about this because the opposites are coming out every single day. And what do I mean? The NFL and the the Referee Association, the NFLRA, National Football League's Referee Association. I do not know what to tell you other than the fact that these people have no freaking clue how the real world is supposed to work. Both parties. Originally, I was on the side of the NFL. For those of you that don't know, let me back up just 10 seconds. They have a collective bargain agreement just like the players do, the refs, just like the NFL Players Association. It's a union. So every so often they have to re-up their negotiations and their contracts about how much they're going to make and what kind of travel they get and how they're going to be graded and what kind of probationary period will a new hire have, how long until he's actually treated like a real referee. You know, is it going to be 3 years? Is it going to be 5 years? I mean, like it's all, quite frankly, nonsense. And I say it's nonsense because I don't think that unions really do any good for anybody almost ever, if I'm being honest. Now, again, I'm not going to make this into my opinion about unions. They're good in some situations. They're bad in others. Again, we're just talking football here. All right. But the point of the matter is, and the reality of this is that we're now at a standstill between the NFL and the NFL Referees Association. They will not come to an agreement. They have not come to an agreement. And at the moment, the NFL is now gearing up, and at least it's a little bit better than it was 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. They're gearing up now to hire at least Division 1 through 3 college football referees for this upcoming season. When 2 weeks ago, the NFL was prepared to hire high school schmoes to referee NFL football games. Believe me, I mean no disrespect by that. High school referees, I coach youth basketball and baseball, and I referee basketball. I include myself into the schmo category. What I'm saying is I appreciate everything that the referees do at all levels. However, my point is that a high school referee, anywhere other than the 8A category schools in Florida, Georgia, or Texas, or maybe California, anyone other than that is not prepared and will not be prepared with only 2 months worth of potential training to referee NFL football games at any sort of level that is reasonable for the fans of the organizations to which they want to watch. That is my point. Because let's call it what it is. The NFL is a multi-billion, potentially at some point here, $1 trillion organization because of no one else other than you and I. We pay the money. We pay $130 every time we want to buy a freaking jersey for the guy that's going to be on a different team next year. We pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to show up to a stadium to watch our people play a game. And not to mention we pay $15 for a Busch Light. We pay $12 for a shitty hot dog, which we love, by the way. And we pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have 15 different fucking television subscriptions to be able to watch the games of our favorite teams. And yes, do we bitch? Sure we bitch. We still freaking pay it. So if it weren't for us, the NFL would have no money. And if it weren't for the NFL having no money, they would not be able to pay any type of refereeing crew. Now, do I think it's shitty that the NFL just doesn't hire referees full-time as employees? Absolutely. Whose fault is that? I'm not totally sure. I got to look more into that. But they're not full-time employees. So the NFLRA is saying that they don't have good enough health coverage. Okay, I can answer that real quick. Make them a freaking full-time employee and put them on your medical. How many referees are there? Not enough for the NFL to give a shit because it wouldn't cost them that much money. And again, the referees would still pay into that. But I digress a moment because getting back to it's us that are paying to keep the league alive. We're the ones that deserve high level, highly trained, and highly adequate referees to referee the games every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Wednesday this year, Saturday in the playoffs. You get my drift. Australia, London, Brazil. I mean, come on. All right. I don't give two hecks about playing outside of the country. Quite frankly, if I was a player, I'd be pissed off. They make enough money. They can go on vacation to Brazil for a week in the offseason if they would like. They don't need to get down there during the season and then be a team that wears green and then not be able to leave the hotel because it's gang territory. And if you wear green, you'll get freaking killed. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's real too. Look that up. So I have an issue with that. And the money's just coming in. This organization is worth, again, so much money. And God bless them. It's the best sport. I'm in agreement. I was a baseball guy at a professional level. I still think the NFL, this is why I'm covering this. This is why I'm doing this now. The NFL is as exciting as any sport there ever was, probably the most. Just get us some damn referees. You don't need to hire college or high school people. Figure it the hell out. But again, this is both parties. And we're going to get into some of what they're talking about. This is both parties' issue. I'm not blaming one side or the other. They're both full of nonsense and malarkey, and they're both saying the other one's lying. And quite honestly, I don't give it. Like, I can't take it anymore. Get me some referees that know what they're doing so we can get legitimate football, because the refereeing situation is horrible. And it's not going to get any better if high school or college referees are the ones that are going to start determining the outcomes of football games. Okay, it's only going to get worse. And I'm not going to listen to it. Sack it up. You guys are worth too much money to not figure it the hell out. So let's get into this a little bit. That was my rant of the day. Woo, we're going to get in some comments as soon as I get these highlights, all right? Bear with me, folks. This is what happened over the weekend. This is what happened. We're just going to go through it. I don't want to talk about the refs anymore, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I'm going to quote you the NFL Referees Association's executive director from Tom Pelissero, okay, or to Tom Pelissero. Apparently, league sources are continuing to put out false and misleading information instead of wanting to meet at the negotiating table. The bottom line is our officials work for the wealthiest sports league in America with profits that far exceed any of the others. That's normally a point of pride for the NFL. However, our officials are substantially undercompensated when compared to baseball and basketball umpires and referees. Our officials also aren't provided the health care benefits that those at 345 Park Avenue have, headquarters of the NFL. As far as performance pay, we had high-performing officials who worked this year's championship games and the Super Bowl who were paid less for those games than what they were paid for a regular season game. That certainly isn't rewarding performance, as the NFL claims is their goal. So this was in response to what the NFL had said. They told the NFLRA what they were looking for as far as an agreement and as what they were offering to solidify this negotiation just recently, which was this. The NFL has offered its game officials a 6-year labor deal. So, extending 6 years so we don't have to do this again for 6 years. Because remember, every time the deadline comes into play, you need to re-up it. This is exactly what the Players Association does. Collective bargaining agreement. This is what unions do. The actual referees are not the ones negotiating. It's the executive director and the head of these unions. Anyway, so the NFL said we want to do a 6-year deal with a 6.45% annual growth rate in compensation. So every year their salaries go up 6.45% increase, no matter what, for the next 6 years, excuse me. So in 6 years, you're going to have, 40%, 39% increase in pay compared to today. That's what the NFL offered the referees. Now, the referees were saying they want a 10% annual increase, not 6.45. Plus, they want $2.5 million for marketing fees. In the league, the league agrees as worthless, sources say. I would tend to agree with that. If the NFLRA is saying they need $2.5 million to market, I think what they mean by this is market their job availability, trying to recruit employment I don't see the NFL having to recruit referees to make $350,000 for 17 weeks a year refereeing a football game. I don't know about you. I just don't think that they need to spend $2.5 million to find people that would want to do that. Do you? You tell me, folks. I really want to get in. I'm going to get into all the comments, whatever topic you want to talk to. I'm just going to rip through all the topics here quickly, and then we'll talk however you see fit. I haven't forgot about you. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to not talk to everybody. I just want to rip through everything first. A lot, because there's a lot today. So here's the other thing as far as this is concerned. The NFL also said that they wanted the employees, meaning the referees, to be judged and graded based on their performance, and then the higher meaning their performance as a referee on the field during games. And then the performance would generate bonuses, and or if you make the playoffs, meaning you go referee a playoff game, if you knocked it out of the park during the regular season based on how you were graded on the scale that they create in terms of what made a good ref, what's a good call, what's a bad call, so on and so forth. Baseball does this. Just saying. Anyway, then in which case, the probationary period for a new hire referee, the NFL wants 5 years. Basically, you get 5 years where you make X amount of dollars. And then after that, then you can kind of work your way up. The Players Association said they want that probationary period to be 3 versus 5. That's a standard negotiation. I have no problem with that. The Players Association want a short term before their union members can make more money. The NFL wants a longer period of time before they have to pay these guys more money. That's negotiation 101. I got no problem with that. None whatsoever. How they end up, well, whoever wins will win. I really don't mind the request. I don't mind the back and forth, the combatants of that. Neither one bothers me whatsoever. That said, okay, the NFL, per this last comment that we just saw, is pretty egregious. I'm sorry, the NFLPA or RA, because they're saying that championship game, Super Bowl were paid less, okay? Because the NFL, along with this, said if you perform well, then you play or you referee in the playoffs in the Super Bowl. And then you get these big bonuses and you make more in those games than you do a regular season game. I mean, that makes total sense to me if that's the case. But you can see here, Scott Green from the NFLRA is saying that they had officials who refereed in the championship and the Super Bowl, and they were paid less in those games than they were for a regular season game. So if that's true, well, then we have a complete liar on our hands. Which side is lying? This is all too familiar to me, folks. I'm not really going to get into it. But the fact that you get two parties saying the exact opposite thing about each other and what each other has said, and somebody goes and calls these people out and says, one of you are lying, because that's what I'm doing right now. One of you are lying. And me as the fan, I've done nothing wrong. I'm a fan. I give my attention, I give you my money, I give you my time. I then cover you and give you more publicity. I'm not a big content creator, but most of the people that I pay attention to and the others that you probably focus on and watch on a daily or weekly basis are, and they have massive followings. So the more attention they get, the more attention the NFL gets, because they push their thoughts about this topic. We didn't do anything here. We have nothing to do with the negotiations between the referees and the NFL. But somehow, we're the ones that are suffering here. How is that reasonable? Well, I can tell you, it's not. It's simply not. So what are we doing, and what is the NFL and the NFLRA going to do about it? Well, the NFL says they're going out now again. At least it's not high schoolers, but right now their stance is we're going to recruit Division 1, 2, and 3 football referees immediately and getting them trained up for the opening of the season. So good for us. We're going to have college freaking referees ref the NFL this year if they don't sort this shit out. All right, I need to know what everybody has to say. Again, Cold Front, I appreciate you being in here. Like, follow, subscribe, give me a chat, share it to your friends, tell everybody. When we get to 500 on YouTube, we're giving away a jersey. I appreciate all of you. Love you.